So we heard a lot of great things there. We had one corporate representative, Gary from Marsh, on the last panel. Now we have three, and we're going to take a little deeper dive into specifics around how do we make all of this work really well. My name is Joe Greiner, co-founder with Spotlight with Tony. That's all the intro you need from me. I'm going to introduce Anita, Adam, Bill, and Karen. I'll give them all a quick second to introduce themselves and where they're from and their background. Let's start with you, Anita.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anita White. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee at First National Bank, First Horizon National Corporation, but we are a bank, a financial institution, and I've been there 13 years, and currently over the last 6 years I've been working in the whole time I've been in marketing, but last 6 years we've been specifically working with our sponsorships and our ticket management program. So that's my background.
Excellent. Adam?
Adam Kellner with the Chicago Bears. I'm in charge of all of our suite sales and services as well as our premium seating operations on game day. We're in the midst of kind of creating some new assets. Dan mentioned our practice viewing suite at our team headquarters in House Hall. We also have an event center in that space as well that's available for companies to really get access to a place that wasn't available to them in the past. So those are some new solutions that we're trying to find to really broaden the experiential opportunities that our partners have.
Excellent. Bill?
Bill Hefner, Vice President of Marketing for JELD-WEN. We're the world's largest manufacturer of windows and doors. We became a brand about 10 years ago, and we're about to refresh the brand in 2015-16.
Excellent. Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen Cage. I manage global sponsorships for Hewlett-Packard, and that's a coordination of multiple companies that we've acquired over the past several years in about 200 countries, as well as working very closely with our ethics and compliance team in tracking, recording, and documenting who is using the assets that we have.
Excellent. I think we have a good representation of different types of companies, so hopefully that'll help broaden the discussion. We're going to start with the corporate folks, and I'll get back to Adam, who, again, has a lot of great attributes. And for the Bears, they don't even care if they win. They have such demand for their products. So Adam doesn't.
We do care if we win.
They do care. But regardless if they're winning, they pack Soldier Field. But starting with, we'll start with you, Karen, and move back this way. Tell me about sort of the best program that you've ever had, or one of the best in terms of assets you've had, and why was it the best? You know, what are you looking for? What did it give you?
Well, at the risk of sounding like I'm catering to the folks who are hosting us here today, absolutely the best program we had was the Davis Cup. We're a multinational corporation with business in over 200 countries, and the Davis Cup is an event that happens 4 times a year in 80 countries a year. And so our ability to have something that was turnkey like that we could take to so many countries was just a tremendous asset for us.
Excellent. Bill?
Same question?
Same question.
All right. I would say early on it was our relationship with the PGA Tour and what it did for the affinity with the PGA Tour and the brand, and then just the ability to do the hospitality around that. And lately it's been the Major League Soccer and the fan engagement around that. Outside of just the game itself.
I think I'm going to follow-up question for you. So what's been really useful with the fan engagement around your MLS partnership?
What's been most useful is to engage in the supporter groups that they have and to get them to embrace a corporate when they're anti-corporate. So that's been a challenge and a success story as well.
You love to have that passion, but it goes both ways, and you need to really manage that well. Anita?
I would say our best experience would probably be with our Grizzly sponsorship of the NBA.
Okay.
And we've had just really, from the user side, from our relationship manager usage with our customers, it's been just a really great experience, and we've been able to get some really good ROI out of it.
Well, that's good. We'll come back to that ROI discussion. Adam, I was just at a Bears event. I was just at a Bears event where they sold out the club level to watch the second and third rounds of the draft. I'll repeat that. They sold out the club level just to watch the second and third rounds on the TV. And within that event, they had an event for some of their suite holders and potential suite holders, which was fantastic. But so, Adam, what else are you guys doing that really keeps things fresh, gives new things to your partners, and what do you hear most from your partners about what they're looking for?
I think value is the biggest word. Obviously, the Bears are a huge brand in Chicago and nationally, but for us, it's to touch on what Gary talked about a little bit, solutions for them. One of the challenges that we have is, given the popularity of the team in Chicago, we play in the smallest building in the NFL. We have, I think, one of the smallest suite opportunities in the NFL in terms of the number available. But the demand is there, but the challenge comes in that because of the footprint of Soldier Field and having to rebuild it the way we did, we don't have a lot of opportunities to create new areas at the stadium. So when we talk about solutions and working with our partners, we're looking for those type of experiences that I'm sure everyone is, that really go towards things that you normally can't get. So this year we're introducing an opportunity for some suite partners to go down and watch the team come out of the locker room before they're introduced through the tunnel. Something we just got approved by our football operations guys. We're really excited about it. And it's new for us, and it's really a baby step of that. Obviously, alumni visits, post-game press conference, things that other teams are already doing, but we don't have the same opportunities to build out areas of the stadium to create new seating options. So when we talk about Hallis Hall, again, those are where we're really trying to drive some of the traffic and create things at our team headquarters that other teams don't have. I think the Dallas Cowboys have a practice viewing opportunity. I know as part of their new headquarters that they're building, they're going to have that. But I think we're the only team that has something like that right at the middle of our practice field. You can come and have an experience of watching the team practice, and it really opens up more yearly opportunities. Obviously, in the NFL, we've only got 10 games, hopefully 12. But a thing like the practice viewing suite opens up about 45 more dates for us to engage with our partners. The event center that we built is an opportunity for them to use our real estate asset to grow their business or showcase new opportunities that they're pitching to their customers. So we're trying to expand things beyond just the game day and really get around to more than the 10 dates, because we are limited in that respect. And in a city like Chicago, there's the demand for doing more. Some of the companies we deal with have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of constituents that are invested in a relationship with us, and there just aren't the same opportunities on a game day to engage all those people than there are in other areas that we're building out now.
And that's a great point, to be able to accommodate the demand throughout the company when they want to activate. Not everybody can fit in the suite, right? So they give them opportunities to go to the practice field.
And one of the challenges that we have, law firms, is like our white whale for the Bears. We just can't engage them as much as the United Center can, or Wrigley can, or U.S. Cellular Field can, because the dates aren't there. And with the number of partners that the big law firms have in Chicago, there's no way to manage that inventory and make everybody be able to entertain. So when they talk about the budgets of taking them, you can't get everyone to invest in it in the Bears, because they know that our suites hold 20 people. So you're talking about 200 total tickets you're going to have throughout the year. Some of the law firms in Chicago have more than 200 partners. Most have more than 200 partners, much less bring a guest and manage that inventory. So we're always fighting that perception, and we think that some of the new assets kind of open those avenues up to us.
Excellent. I'll go back to the corporate folks here. When you're setting your business objectives, you're setting ROI for the program, for a new sponsorship, new suite, whatever it might be, or to borrow a race term, your business objectives. Are you setting those by program, or are they set at a macro level for the entire organization? And what goes into what you're trying to do with each program? Is it aligned with the corporate goals, or are they more individual goals by program? We'll start with you, Anita.
Well,
For First Horizon, it's kind of integrated. We look at it from a macro perspective. So we look at the sponsorships as a whole, but we also look at it from an individual level, particularly in markets where our brand isn't as strong. That is where we are really pushing to get more brand awareness, and we're looking for sponsorship opportunities that we can align with. But from a macro level, First Tennessee is really well known within Tennessee. So there are certain markets where we have full market share, and we look at sponsorship from a global level from the opportunity of how much community return we can get from that, because we're well known, so we also want to be known from a community perspective as well. So we're looking from those type of sponsorships from that macro level.
And that's a great thing to really dive into from a team perspective, knowing that in certain parts of their world, they don't need more brand because everybody knows them. In other parts, they do need brand, and then where they don't need brand, they need more engagement and activation. So, as you're talking to Anita later and selling her stuff, just joking, just keep that in mind. What are they trying to accomplish here, and how can we help them accomplish that? Bill?
I always try to stay away from the ROI discussion because it's hard to validate that, and so if it's not brought up, I don't bring it up, and that's what I did in my past lives as well, and in the other companies. However, I do track stuff, and we use Spotlight, so it makes it easy to manage the ticket assets corporately owned. I can tell you that every person that we have entertained and taken, it averages out to about $38,000 a person. So, I know all of these things, and I have that information if asked, but I don't engage in those conversations.
So what objectives are you focused on?
The objectives that we're focused on is to help us to sell more windows and doors. And we do that through, we don't sell direct to the consumers. It's not an item that you think about every day. So our dealers and distributors, we need to entertain them. We need to make sure that we're top of mind always for them. And then as we're looking at rebranding, or not just rebranding, but refreshing the brand, one of the questions that I'm asking our current sponsor relationships is, what does your brand say? So, I'm not asking how many, impressions we get and those different kinds of questions. I'm saying, what does your brand mean? So as we're refreshing our brand and who we want to be, who are you, so that we align ourselves with those entities locally, regionally, and nationally that have a presence that say the same things we're trying to say.
That's a really important aspect, where brand is usually more around fan engagement and fan experience, but it needs to align with the corporate goals, or you're going to have trouble getting good partners.
What do your fans think of your brand? We want to align ourselves with those that have the same values.
Shows how important it is to protect that brand. Now, as we've already kicked the Clippers while they're down, but they ran into a real trouble that now their brand is not aligning with what corporations want, and they need to turn that around, which I think they're going to do well. Karen?
So I think there's a difference for us between sponsorships and hospitality, and we do make that distinction. For sponsorships, we're in a stage of refresh, because most of the things that we have inherited through acquisition, so we don't have the most strategic portfolio in the world. And we are, with a sponsorship, we're looking for, similar to what Bill said, alignment with our brand, but not just on the values of the brand, but is there a way that our technology can improve the fan experience, the operations, the go-to-market? Is there a way for us to create a real partnership where there's also a customer proof point and a customer testimonial? From a hospitality perspective, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this out loud, but I guess I will. My background's in sales, and my personal opinion is, if we're not serving the needs of the salespeople, then we probably shouldn't be doing it. And so making sure that we have an understanding of what the business objectives are. And HP is a company that has historically been very decentralized, so we can have, and we're huge. I mean, we go from, consumer to corporate, huge multinational companies. So understanding the groups that are going to be using a particular asset and what their objectives are, and then working across our portfolio, how can we apply one event to multiple objectives?
That's good. There's different objectives and different people to engage. So, Adam, putting you back on the spot, how do you align your team to make sure that you're able to service not only the law firms, but also the road builders and the technology companies? All across the board, they have different needs, different goals, different objectives. How do you make sure that your team is listening to engage them in the best way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that process starts during the sales pitch at the very beginning of engaging people and talking to them about what their needs are and what their goals are. And like Bill talked about, ROI, but it's almost ROO of what are your objectives through this partnership, and then finding the solutions within the assets we have to provide them for, somebody like you met last week, the road builders. Their big touch point could be something like alumni visits, or talking to our administrative people, or introducing them to people that we have relationships with in the city. Whereas for a giant corporation, it's going to be those experiential things of going down on the field and getting close to the players, or offering an opportunity to have an event at the team headquarters where they can leverage our assets to grow their business. So I think it really starts at the beginning and works its way through the relationship that you have with people. Again, we don't have as many opportunities as everyone else, so we have a really strong philosophy of engagement throughout the year, where we're really trying to build relationships and talk to people outside of the office, outside of their office, outside of our games, and continuously learn their objectives, and certainly as they change and the businesses change, making sure that we're aligning ourselves with the possibility of providing assets that can help them with those objectives.
Joe, one thing I would add here is when we're talking about, because the same thing Karen said, the sponsorship and the hospitality side, it is a little bit different. When we're looking at the tickets ourselves, what we're trying to do, and another thing that we're using the spotlight for, is to make sure that we're getting the right percentage of usage out of those tickets, and just we're looking at entertaining current business clients. So business development of existing clients, 40% of our ticket use should be for that. 20% is for prospects. 10% is for team building or stuff that we're using internally, and in kind of a reward and employee reward type thing, and the other 10% is giving those tickets to charities and different things that our employees might want us to do.
That's great, and I think we talked about it, and everybody says we're looking for something unique, right? And everybody says that, but do you have any good examples of something that was truly unique that has really made the event exceptional, like whether it's Sundance or Davis Cup or something like that? Karen, give us an example of something that was really unique that was very memorable to the people you're entertaining.
I think this one's for Adam, because the on the field that you talked about and having your fans welcome the team onto the field. We were a team sponsor with the San Francisco 49ers, and as a part of that sponsorship, and that was an actual sponsorship, they converted, we were in Candlestick, it was a baseball park, they converted one of the dugouts to be our suite, and it happened to be the dugout that led to the locker room. And if you're really into football, the viewing of the game was not that great because you were literally at the end zone. But there will never be another experience like that one. I mean, it was just, and when I first heard about it, and this is another inherited, and when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't get it. I mean, I know that stadium, I don't understand how this is going to work. And being hands-on and having those people come through was amazing.
I mean, those are the type of things that people don't ever forget, and they always remember that you invited them, and those are the type of things that we're always trying to provide, especially when you talk about the prices and the values of a suite with the Chicago Bears. It's up there, and so how do you create memories for people and opportunities for them to not really thank us or think that the experience came from the Bears, but that it came from HP, and they're the ones that are trying to build the loyalty not only with their current customers, but future customers, current employees. All the uses of an asset like that is really all going back to building loyalty.
That's great. Bill?
I would say a couple of things. You know, it's the ability to be able to package some of these things together, and what I mean by that is different sponsorships. So we've got a sponsorship with Pebble Beach, and then this was several years ago, but when the NBA All-Star Game was in San Francisco, to put all these different things together and have this great weekend for your customers that you bring them out to. But today, a naming rights sponsorship of a stadium that we have, being able to give our customers not just that same experience. You're going to go to the suite each time, but you want to be in the Army? We got those seats there. You want to be on the field? We've got those seats there. You want to go over to the club? You know, and then being able to bring them back and engage with them more often, because it's not the same thing. Because oftentimes people go to something and, you know, either that was a bucket list item, you know, on taking them to the Sawgrass and the players last week or whatnot. So you got to give them something different.
Excellent. Anita?
Well, in Tennessee, NASCAR is really, really huge. And so one of the most unique experiences I would say that we have is that we have multiple seat arrangements with a suite as well as seats in the grandstands for Bristol Motor Speedway. And so when we bring customers there, it is a kind of once-in-a-lifetime experience with them, because they also get to go down into the pit, they get to meet some of their favorite drivers, and it also gives our relationship managers and some of our business RMs an opportunity to actually physically entertain with that customer over a weekend, where they really get a chance to build relationships with one memorable weekend event. We fly the customers in. It is a huge event for those, and those customers that do get, customers and prospects that get a chance to go to this event, talk about it forever. So it's definitely a unique experience for them.
It's great to be able to help someone check off something from their bucket list and know that it came from that company. You're always going to remember who helped you do that.
Hey, Joe, can I share one more?
Of course.
So this one is for the teams, but also for the rights holders. And I'm looking at the number of men in the audience, so bear with me. But we had an opportunity with the 49ers to do a very VIP experience. It was something that was written into our contract that we could create some kind of an experience. And I was reporting to a series of men, all of whom wanted some kind of a, you know, fan day where they could go out on the field and play football and catch the ball from Jerry Rice. And through a variety of circumstances, that event coincided with what I thought we should do, which was host a family day. Because the people that we're inviting, most of them spent a lot of time away from their families anyway, and so to be able to create something where the kids could actually go on the field, and we created a kids challenge on the field. As luck would have it, the sessions ended up being back-to-back. They were supposed to be a couple of months apart, so we gave our super VIP customers the choice. And not to say I told you so, but nobody signed up for the adult event, and everybody signed up for the kid event. And I don't know that it's something that people think about right now, but I'll tell you, the reason I think it's important for the teams is there was this guy that nobody had ever heard of, and they weren't even sure they could say his name, that came out, and he was one of the stations on the field, and his name was Colin Kaepernick. And those kids who were at that experience, who met Colin, who got his signature, who had their pictures taken with him, have watched him in his career, and they feel like they know him, and they have built lifetime fans because of that experience. So it's just, I share that with all of you who are trying to figure out what experiences to create for your customers, that you might want to think about their families, because, you know, making mom and dad look like a hero is a good thing, and doing something where they all get to engage, but also for the teams, because it's a way to build your inventory of new fans.
Yeah, we're actually hosting a Father's Day event the day before Father's Day at our team practice facility, where we're inviting all of our suite partners to come out with their families and kids and run around on the field. We've got some current players who will participate in it, some tours that we're doing. So I agree that, you know, getting families, engaging, you know, kids and getting them out there is important. And we had a similar story when we did this event 2 years ago. We had Josh McCown come out, and he was at one of the stations, the quarterback station. You know, he's just a backup. I think he was teaching high school football 2 weeks before that or something. And but I talked to people at the end of the last season who had attended that event who were so excited that their kids had got to play with Josh McCown because he came in and almost saved our season last year by coming in for Jay. But it was so important that they got to kind of meet a guy that wasn't important at the time but turned out to be important, and now they have those memories as a family that they normally wouldn't have. So.
Yeah.
That's great. Actually, Karen, you stole my next question was putting the teams on the spot. You know, what would you like to see more of that they could give you or offer you? Again, in the spirit of us working better together and be able to sell more, what would you like to see more of? We'll start with you, Karen, and come back down this way.
Well, I'm speaking for my company. I want less brand. Those are the free assets for you guys to monetize, and so it's easy to put into a package, but it's not what's of value to us. Now, in other countries, it's a value, but really for me, it's the money can't buy experiences and the ability to have consistency and continuity of experience at a similar level, venue to venue.
Excellent. Bill?
I would say the thing that I'd be looking for is, I believe in loyalty and long-term relationships. And when you have a relationship with a sports entity or something like that, you shouldn't take that for granted. And I think too often it's taken for granted. You're there when you sell the deal and you do all that, and then year 2, year 3, and especially if the team starts doing well, I can tell you those contracts we won't renew later, and it's because of how we've been treated and handled in those subsequent years.
That's important to remember. You're working so hard when the team's not doing well to make sure you have a great experience, and you forget that even when the team's doing well, you still need to make sure they're having a great experience. Anita, anything to share?
I agree with everything that Bill and Karen said, but I also would say this is something Rick mentioned very early, is creativity. Having a differential experience at that facility where you can bring your client or your prospect and be able to give them that different experience, where they can say at the First Tennessee Suite, at the First Horizon Suite, we got this and it was different from anybody else's. That's valuable to us because that means that we have more to give to our clients.
That's great. I think as Gary said earlier, you need to really know that customer when you come in, so you're not just selling them what you have, you're selling what they need. So that point, Adam, what can companies do better to make sure that you know what they need and make sure you communicate where you can add more, where you can, right? There are certain things you can't do, certain things you can do. How can they help you?
Yeah, I think it goes to them having really an idea of why they're even interested in partnerships with teams. Sometimes you get the people who are just interested because it's a nice play and it's, hey, we want to have a bear suite. But that really kind of diminishes the experience because if they don't know what they want, we don't know what we can give them. And we have certain assets that we can provide, but if it doesn't work for them, then they go unused. And we find that a lot where we'll put in some asset that they don't ever use because it really wasn't something that they thought out, why they were getting a partnership. I think it's, what we want to hear is, again, what they want to do, what they want to get out of a relationship. I think that sometimes that creativity is almost better suited to come from the client because they've got ideas that are out of the box or work differently and really drive the teams to create new ideas and new experiences. And to go back to my bosses and say, listen, I met with Gary and they want to do this stuff and that's what's important to them. That carries a lot more weight sometimes than me going and saying, hey, I got this kind of weird idea and we want to do this and I want to do that. And I don't really know if anybody wants to do it yet, but I'd like to start pitching it. That doesn't, all the kind of data in the world or all my ideas or whatever I'm coming up with, Gary's feedback to get a deal done is going to carry a lot more weight sometimes with my bosses. So I think that from a company standpoint, they've got to really think out what they want to get out of it and what they need to get out of it. And then I think, we like to use we always use the word partnership and partners. There are suite partners, they're not suite holders, they're not sweet whatevers. They're sweet partners. We look at it as a partnership where we want to hear your ideas, we want to give you ideas and try to find a solution that works for both of us so that when that contract comes up, regardless of whether we were 0-16 or whether we won 3 Super Bowls, that we can continue to know that we're going to work together on finding an asset or solutions that grow their business and leverage the relationship that we have. So it's just important for the companies to really think out what they want to do out of it and get out of it.
Excellent. Well, that's great. And I have more questions, but I like to make it a little more interactive. Does anyone have any questions that you'd like either for Adam or for the corporate team here? Yes.
Good morning. I'd like to ask, you're talking more about in-bowl and how the experience is in the stadium. What have you done to take it outside? For example, at Joe Gwen sponsoring the Portland Timbers, phenomenal facility. Have you ever taken some of the premium, for example, at one of your regional meetings,
within the state of Tennessee, and that vehicle traveled to each of those financial centers within the regions, and our customers as well as clients and prospects had an opportunity to take pictures and do the signed autographs and do all of that kind of thing with the NASCAR car. So we try to do experiential activities as well outside of bowl and those suite activities as well. And so we are looking for more opportunities for that because it does push our brand awareness as well.
Excellent. That's great.
I'll keep us on time and just say ditto.
More questions? What? The question is, what doesn't work? That's turnoffs. What are your turnoffs when being pitched?
My first turnoff is just that they aren't listening. So they're presenting something, and we come back and we have this conversation about what's important, and the next time they come back, they're still offering some of the same things that I said weren't of any value. So
I think a big turnout from us is if you don't know our brand. First Tennessee has a very strong brand within the state of Tennessee, and we're known for loyalty, and we're known for certain aspects. So if you're totally not aligned with our brand and then pitching something that we know that's not aligned and you can't tell us why it's not aligned or aligned, then that's kind of a turnout for us.
My favorite is the sponsorship call that I get in February for the activity in June.
And why is it your favorite, Karen?
Because we budget about 16 months before.
That's good to know. Good to know you got to be in the budget. Jason's in line with that.
From a contract standpoint, are all these elements built into the contract, or do some of these kind of elements as the product get developed?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So the question is, are all these things built into your contract, or are these things that you develop together as you work together?
Well,
Yep.
no, ours are built in, and we've added to them over time. So, for example, with the 49ers, we had built into our contract 2 experiences with a different number of attendees and a different level of player participation that was built into our contract.
Ours are built into the contract as well, too. However, what I was mentioning before about year 2, year 3, year 4 is that when you come back and you reevaluate how things went, we need to be able to look at that and swap different things out or change or freshen up what's not working and make it work.
And ours are built in as well, but we also like to look at what opportunities there are to do add-ons. So it's built in, but there's flexibility.
It sounds like most are built in, but it's a very good attribute to be able to change on the fly as the teams or the league or the company changes. Any other questions?
A lot of conversation has been about kind of the experiential one-on-one interconnection. How do you balance that with the growing digital market and the opportunity to engage fans on a much broader, much larger scale?
The question there is, how do you leverage digital to reach even more people through these partnerships? Anita?
From the First Horizon side, we have a great social media team that really looks at how we can leverage our sponsorship and customer experience. We ask them to send us pics that we can post. We try to make sure that, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we post pictures from those actual events. And it's not that I'm at those events. We have, customers, RMs. We make sure that our sales force knows that if you are going to this event, you're hosting someone, let us know so that we can post it in social media and kind of get that kind of digital voice out there that these are other experiences that our customers can participate in.
Excellent.
I think we have opportunities for improvement, but we have done a number of things. I think one of the best ones was when Spain and Argentina were in the Davis Cup finals, and we did an online digital promotion in both of those countries, and the winners would get to come be kind of a behind-the-scenes reporter at the Davis Cup for their country, and they had experiences meeting players, going to special events, but also then sharing that back.
Excellent.
And the only thing I would say is, again, we have a lot of work to do there as well. We do have a digital marketing group, but going back to that Dribble Oregon campaign, you can only do so many locations, and so year 2 and year 3 we put it out there for folks as a city or community to kind of bid on having Dribble Oregon come, and so they were taking pictures and getting people engaged, and then obviously when you selected them, you had a group of people that wanted to be there and made everything happen for you.
Oh, that's great. Great question. Yes?
Any lessons learned from the naming rights in Portland and anything you do differently next time?
Yes, and there will be a next time, and we did learn some lessons there as well too. But one of the things that we did well was on that side engage the supporter group and those folks, because we've just changed out the naming rights, and the folks that came in, they took a bit of a beating with the new naming rights. So again, you have to be careful on some of those things, because it can be accepted or it can be seen as a corporate a bad thing for a corporation. So.
Excellent. Well, that's great. When buying drinks tonight, remember who ran the panel that ended on time. But I really thank everyone here.
And the panelists.
And the panelists.